make a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word you fling.
It's the Post-Fight Podcast, South China Morning Post, scmp.com/MMA. I'm your host, Nick Atkin. It is July 19th in Hong Kong. I'm joined, as usual, by JHK, John Hyon Ko over in Korea. Got Chris over in Kowloon, I think. But we got a special guest today, Sasha Palatnikov, the first Hong Kong-born MMA champion. Now he's out over in Las Vegas, Angels Fighting Championship, middleweight champ. Sasha, let's just catch up with you. How's everything going in Vegas? Tell us when you're back in the fight game.
It's good, man. It's been a year that's been kind of up and down, I'm sure, for everybody. But I had surgery in the beginning of the year, and since COVID lockdown came down, I was able to use that time to rehab, recover, and right now I'm back feeling pretty much close to 100% and starting to get back on the mats and training again. So hopefully soon I'll be looking for a fight, and we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, hopefully we can set up an interview with you as well to get a bit more of an update on everything. Absolutely. But we brought Sasha in to get his expert eye on today's fights from UFC Fight Island. Yeah. Oh, well, you're the only one here who actually does it. The rest of us are just armchair pundits. Yeah. Look, it was a great show. I think some fun co-main event. Why don't we jump right into it? Deiveson Figueiredo absolutely destroying Joseph Benavidez. There's no doubt this time, is he? He's now the undisputed flyweight champion of the UFC. John, I'll throw it to you first. Did you expect this kind of performance from Deiveson? I know the first fight they had in March was also pretty dominant for Deiveson, but this was completely, utterly on another level. I've never seen such a one-sided title fight. Have you?
Not really, but there's a common saying that history repeats itself, and that's what you saw tonight is Figueiredo, aka Figgy, go in there and just dominate and pummel Benavidez. Man, Benavidez, he's an OG though. He's an OG. He's had, I think this is his fourth title fight, and he's never successful in title fights, but he's still a Hall of Famer, I believe. He's accomplished so much in this game, and I think he's going to continue fighting, to be honest with you. I think he's going to compete, much longer than most people expect. And but yeah, Figgy, he just went in there and did his thing, and he's making us forget Triple C. I'm not even thinking about him, I'm thinking about Figgy now. I'm thinking about who he can fight, how long he can dominate the division for, because he has that style where people are going to start, watching closely to what he does every single fight, man. First round, second round, he's a danger, man. He's serious. What did you think, Sasha? How much power, how different is he with his power as a flyweight?
At 125 pounds, he's one of the hardest hitters I've ever seen outside of boxing, maybe even in boxing. He literally flatlines people with one punch, and rarely do you see that at 125. You see it sometimes in occasional fight, the guy gets caught, but he anywhere he seems to hit people clean, they drop, and he dropped Joseph 3 times in that first round, and you kind of felt bad for him. It became that. We all had that feeling where you felt bad for Joe Benavidez. Because he literally stood no chance to win that fight. But, all the credit to Benavidez, who is an OG and will go down as a legend in the sport, doing so much for the sport. And I still think he's going to compete. He will be a contender. I just don't think he'll have a quick shot, a rematch. But, those guys that are just outside of, number 1 and number 2, he can compete with definitely. So, it's all up to him. We don't know how he's feeling mentally. 4 times and not doing it, it's it must be very frustrating. You can only imagine, but I'm sure he might just get motivated and it push him to continue to win a few more fights. So I don't know, Chris, what do you think of that fight?
Yeah, it's really, really hard, isn't it? Because Figueiredo is absolutely fantastic, but you have to give your hands up to Joseph Benavidez, especially at the ripe old age of 35. And when you look at his record, I think he's got 7 losses, 2 to Figueiredo, 2 to Dominic Cruz, 2 to Demetrius Johnson. I think he's got 1 more against Pettis. And that's a fantastic resume. And then you look at his age bracket and you think, oh, Ian McCall's retired. Dominic Cruz is pretty much semi-retired. Demetrius Johnson's over fighting 19-1. They're all within 2 years of each other. I think while respecting Figueiredo for getting the championship, we should also look back at Joseph Benavidez's career. And I think probably now he probably takes, for me, the spot of maybe the best ever fighter to not win a UFC world title.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chris, I'm going to keep it with you. Where do you think, who do you think should be Deiveson's next challenger? Would you go with Askarov, who was pretty impressive, wasn't he, earlier in the night?
Yeah, I think Askarov would be the guy to go with. I think it was a super impressive performance. I think he really put his hand up. And I think he gave him a lot of problems. But I actually think Figgy has all the ability to just crack on. Maybe Formiga as well. But apart from that, no one particularly stands out.
Well, he's now 19-1. Sasha, what do you think of Figueiredo? Is he going to start crowbarring his way into that conversation for pound and for the GOAT and everything like that? That's a pretty impressive record.
Oh, I mean, I like Chris was saying, I don't see him being dethroned at 125 pounds anytime soon. Maybe get a couple defenses under his belt, and then he could start to enter that question. But I mean, I look at his record; it's immense, and the only one loss that he does have, maybe that will be an entry. I believe it's to Formiga. I think it was a decision, but maybe that could open a conversation for a title rematch. But honestly, I just don't see anyone at that weight class causing him any problems. I think pictured at 135 super fight is a very possible thing because he had some issues making 125 in the past. It's not a big issue, but he has. So 35 obviously wouldn't be an issue for him, and I still think he would hit super hard at 35 as well. Him and Jan, I think, would be an amazing fight. But maybe that's something down the road if he was to kind of cement himself more at 125. But we'll see.
Well, he said after the fight, I want to be an active champion. I think he's got that same mentality as Alex Volkanovski's got of clearing out the division. But John, do you think maybe that this is the guy that could bring Cejudo back? I think we were talking about it a little before the show started, but there's a real challenger there now. Maybe Cejudo didn't think the fights were there for him at bantamweight or at flyweight. Is this going to be one that could tempt Cejudo?
Nah, I feel like he's stuck on stupid and looking to fight Volkanovski. So I don't think that he'll fight at 125. I don't think he want to cut to 125 either. Going back to what both these guys were talking about, he has a long road to becoming like a pound for pound vest. He has Askarov, he has Formiga, he has Perez, who just knocked out Formiga. He has Brandon Moreno. If he can knock like at least five contenders across, then I could see him going up to 135 and challenging whoever the champion is at that moment. But with Henry Cejudo, I don't think he's coming back ever to 125. And if he does, man, this is a dangerous fight to come back to. He might as well just go against Volkanovski.
Yeah.
All right, let's move down the card a bit. That co-main event, also a bit of this was a huge surprise for me. Jack Hermannson submitting Kelvin Gastelum after about 78 seconds with a heel hook. Kelvin Gastelum drops his third loss in a row. Sasha, were you as surprised as me?
I was. I didn't think the fight was going to go like that. First of all, Kelvin being a great wrestler and boxer, I thought he would try to keep it standing because we know Jack is a grappler, and he not only is he a grappler, he's a super strong grappler. And as soon as Kelvin, did that lateral drop and ended up on top, I was like, okay. I was like, maybe he's going to get up to his feet and, they're going to go back to striking. But, he sat in there a little bit, and I think he got confident and thought, I can hang out here and play in his guard, and maybe didn't estimate Hermansson's ground game, because he's got a very, very sharp ground game, and he's super strong. You put that together and you've got a dangerous person. So, he got caught. Everyone's saying, he should have kicked out and, put his foot on the butt and tried to kick out, the defense to the heel hook. But he got caught at an angle where his knee was just unfortunately compromised. And it's like, you want to tear your ACL and be out for 9 months or tap. And that's unfortunately what Kelvin was put. and that was the situation. But sometimes it happens. I'm sure if they were to rematch it, maybe the fight would go a completely different way. But yeah, it definitely surprised me. I thought Kelvin was going to go out striking and look sharp striking, because he looked good in his last fights, on the feet. But what did you think, John? What did you think of Hermansson's upset, at least in my eyes?
Man, Hermannson did surprise me. I thought Kelvin was going to win this fight. Exactly what you just said, Sasha. The wrestling is there, the striking is there, stay on the feet. But he played in Hermansson's world and got caught. And that's it. He got caught. But he's not sitting well now. He's 3 losses in a row. You know what I mean? And someone on Twitter was saying that all the guys that he has beaten are either they're retired, basically, most of them. You know what I mean? Most of the guys that he knocked out, or they're in different divisions now. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe whenever he does fight a top contender like a Darren Till, like a Hermansson, like a Adesanya, he's not at that level right at this moment. You know what I mean? Maybe he has to go back and face somebody that is a little bit lower caliber, mid-tier. Who do you think, Chris? Who do you think Gastelum should fight next? Because he needs to get back on the win column.
Yeah, that is really, really, really tough one. I would actually like to see him fight Edmund Shalbazian. I think would be a really, really great fight.
That's a tough fight, man.
Yeah, it'd be good to have Tom Area back in the corner as well, with a bit of head movement. So a bit of that would be quite nice. And on the other side, Hermansson in this fight totally shocked me. When I saw he was a betting favourite, I didn't know what was going on, because I rate Gastelum so highly. And it was just a madness that he finished him so quick. And I actually think the interesting thing is I was really surprised by Hermansson. I don't know how far he's going to go. And just trying to work out who's next for him, I think, is fantastic. I'd love to see him go against Yoel Romero.
Oh.
Well, it sounded like he wants the winner of Till and Whitaker next week. But Dana White said he's in a good position now, isn't he? And it's John. He's definitely thrown a spanner in the works in that division, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely. I like that. I like that he's calling, next week's winner, and that could be a high possibility for him. I also like that Yoel Romero fight. And whenever you got a guy like Yoel Romero sitting there, without an opponent, what's the best way to? Because he's coming off a title fight. So what's the fastest way to a title shot? Beating the guy that just fought for the title, right? So Yoel Romero sounds good. The winner between Whitaker and Till sounds great, but who knows, man? The UFC, they do some weird matchmaking sometimes. They might just give Hermansson, Edmund Shalbazian next. We never know. You know what I mean? Some weird stuff has happened recently.
Okay, well, let's go down the card again. I'll throw it to Sasha. We'll start with. I thought this was an awesome performance from Rafael Fiziev, wasn't it, against Mark Jakise? Great fight, one fight of the night, I do believe. Unanimous decision for Fiziev. Just a brilliant display of striking, wasn't it? He looked so sharp. He's coming out of Tiger Muay Thai, I believe, in Phuket. He's one to watch, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rafael he's a phenomenal fighter. I think he's the head kickboxing coach at Tiger. I was back there 2 years ago, and I worked with him and did pad work with him, and got along with him. We still talk to each other, and I seen him in sparring back then, and at the time I think he was like 4-0, 5-0, fighting in Korea as well, and and just doing phenomenal on the mats. And I'm just thinking, man, this guy's, once he goes to the UFC, he's going to destroy people. And and now we are, fast forward now, and 2 years later, his debut honestly was the biggest shock to me ever. He got caught really quick with that spinning, back kick, and unfortunately got the loss, but came back and put on a clinic against Alex White in Singapore. And then here we are, and man, he just, you could just see every single strike landed just generated so much more power than a lot of every other fighter you see fight. And he's going to be able to do that to pretty much everybody. So yeah, you're going to see, there's a bunch of guys now that are coming up in that weight class that are just super well-rounded, and they hit hard, and they're strong, and yeah, we're gonna see Rafael a lot, and I'm hoping they keep giving him fights, and he gets a good rhythm of fighting, because once he gets going, he's gonna be challenging for the title not too long, and I'm sure John is gonna agree with me as well.
Yeah, definitely. He's a guy, I feel like in the Alex White fight, he got a little more comfortable, and now he's actually comfortable, and once he is able to show his whole arsenal, and which could be in his next fight, because we haven't seen the best of him. He's still a young guy too. He's gonna be a bonus machine. He won a bonus today, right? And I think he's gonna continue winning bonuses. He's gonna be a rich man by the time his career ends, just off bonuses. Man, it's you know, it's something that's weird. It's like, you know, a fighter is so good, but when they make their debut, like Sasha said, it was a shock, right? And then now you start to see slowly them coming out of their shell.
Everybody's different. That's the beauty of the sport. There's no like rhythm or like algorithm or formula. Like, I've seen some of the most phenomenal athletes, fighters in gyms across the world, and then when they get in the cage, they become something else, and then it doesn't translate. But then you see guys that you're like, oh, he seems all right, and then he gets in the cage and he's an absolute monster. And then some guys do both, you know, and you get this different kind of flows of personalities, and it shows in the way they fight. And like you said, you would have never expected him to come out and lose that debut, but he needed to kind of get settled and get his feet and get used to the cage, the atmosphere, maybe the people. And now you can see he's comfortable. He was kind of messing around in there even, you know. And Diakese as well, and don't take any credit away from him. He's a sick striker, you know. He's a dynamic guy and hits hard. There were some times Rafael got hit, and we were like, ooh, that could have changed the fight, you know. So Rafael is an elite striker, and there's not a lot of guys in that category, at least in my opinion, in the UFC. There are some, but you're gonna start to see them because they make such a big difference when they fight, and you see it when he hits. And now that there's no fans there, it makes even more of a difference. Now you get to really see the difference that these punches and kicks land on people, and you see, you hear. So yeah, get used to it, because Rafael is gonna, like you said, be a bonus machine, and a lot more will come from it. I mean, Chris, what did you think of Rafael's performance?
Oh, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was a great fight. Very, very, very upset for Mark Deiveson. Fantastic fighter, fighting out of London Shoot Fighters, based out of Doncaster, I believe, as well. Goes to Scramble Academy in Leeds. A really nice guy, has all the ability there. But tonight we just saw, especially from a kickboxing background, to see how far behind he was behind Rafael. Was just shocking, because I really rate Deiveson, and it actually sets up the rest of Fight Island really, really nicely. Out of the 15 British fighters, they have gone 6-6 so far, with 3 more next weekend. So we'll see if Britain can finish with a winning record or a losing record.
I've got to show you guys this. I don't know if you've seen the video yet, but UFC put it out on their Twitter. It's pretty cool. Rafael, obviously, finding out he got the bonus.
Yeah,
he's such a character, man. Like,
he's such a good dude.
He's such a character. Yeah.
Nice. That's good. Good for him.
That's nice to see, isn't it? That's life-changing, isn't it, for some fighters?
Absolutely, especially in Thailand. That's going to go a long, long way.
That's a lot of bot right there.
Yeah,
that's a lot of bot.
That is indeed. Okay, let me bring up the. We'll move on again down the card. Ariane Lipski and Luana Carolina. Ariane with another great submission. Knee barred first round, 128 the first round. That looked painful as hell, didn't it, Sasha?
Yeah, that was nasty. That was like that girl. Like, I can't remember her name, her opponent. But there was a moment where, when it got to the ground, she actually transitioned and got the back like for a period, and then the legs got tangled, and it was a very awkward position. But Ariane just knew to sit up, and she saw the leg, and I was like, I was calling. I was like, yeah, go for the knee bar. It's like right there, knee bar. And then yeah, she just hyperextended the heck out of that knee, and I was even like coming off a knee surgery. I was like, you don't want that feeling, and she screamed out, and we all heard that too. So no, beautiful. I hope she got a bonus for that, because that you don't see knee bars all the time. So that was a very nice finish. Heel hooks and knee bars definitely deserve bonuses in my opinion, but yeah, that was a really nice finish, and I'm sure Chris was also feeling those.
Yeah. It was fantastic, especially a knee bar standing as well from that position is really, really hard. And it was really, I'm really happy to be back in the larger cage. I actually feel like we're getting proper fights, a few less knockouts, but I actually think we're seeing a higher level of technicality to what we were seeing in the Apex.
Oh, Chris, you were preaching the merits of the smaller cage before, weren't you? You just changed your mind.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I think so. I think the small cage was really, really good as a novelty, but I much prefer the bigger cage. I think it gives the fighters a little bit more space, and I actually think we see a little bit more variety. And tonight was a fantastic night of specialist submissions.
Well, yeah, she did get the bonus. Ariane, performance of the night went to her and Deiveson as well. John, were you impressed? That was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. She came into the UFC and with a lot of hype and kind of failed in the first fight, and a lot of people jumped off the bandwagon, and now people are jumping back on. With I feel like she's won 2 in a row. What I'm most impressed about is her English. Like the last time she said it in the post fight, she said the last time I was doing my interview was in Portuguese, and now I could do my interview in English, which shows you that she is really focused on her career, man. Whenever someone does that, it shows you that she's focused on her skill set, and she's focused on creating herself into a fighter where she can be promoted. And it's kind of like the Amanda Ribas too. She speaks English somewhat, and you could tell she's working on it, and it helps a lot, man. And Dana White said last fight, Amanda Ribas gained 100K followers after that fight. That is nuts.
Well, I'm going to just bring it down to, we mentioned it briefly before, Askarov in the opener on this main card, unanimous decision over Alessandro Pantoja, might set himself up really for that potential flyweight shot, right, John?
No, I don't think so. I feel like he needs to fight one more time. There's guys ahead of him. There's guys like Perez, who beat Formiga, knocked him out. There's Brandon Moreno. I think Brandon Moreno should get the next shot for the title. He's won so many great fights, and he has that style where he's gonna be a handful for Figgy, and it's gonna be more exciting than this fight. I feel like it'll last longer, and it's a great matchup. Askarov, he should fight Perez. I think Perez and him would be a good matchup. It'll be a good test for each other. I'm very disappointed in Pantoja because he was the alternate for the title fight, and he comes in here and I think he blew his wad in the first round trying to go for all of those submissions. And Askarov was just relentless, just putting the pressure on him, grappling, and he kind of showed you the blueprint of how to beat Pantoja right there, right? It just get in his face, kind of last out the first round and go to get to the decision, right? And you could win the fight that way. So Askarov, he's a guy, he possibly could be another Russian champion. I feel like there's only been 2 in history, which is Petr Yan and Khabib. Maybe he's the third one. I see like him having the best chance at it.
Do you think Pantoja could have any complaints? He looked pretty upset, didn't he, Sasha? All 3 judges, I think, had it 29-28 there. Is there a case for him at all?
I picked Pantoja. I thought he was going to win this fight. I thought he would have better striking, but Askarov just came forward the whole fight, put pressure, and was going relentless with the takedowns. And then, Pantoja was, throwing up a lot of submissions. And I agreed with John. He went for a guillotine like immediately when the fight started, and off of that, and Askarov just defended and popped out of literally everything that he went for. So that stuff tires you out, and you could see it kind of show on the feet. And it wasn't like, I just see Figueiredo destroying both of them personally, but the fight itself, I thought it was Askarov dominated, in my opinion, putting the pressure, and Pantoja was just trying to submit him and wasn't really, in my opinion, putting any risk or hurting Askarov in any way. So yeah, I mean, Askarov, I don't think should be getting a title shot. Like also what John said, someone like Perez would be a good fight. I also agree. And he needs to have at least maybe one or even two more fights. Cause from what I've seen, like, I don't think he will be able to do what he did to Pantoja to Figgy. So, that's just what I think, but maybe he'll prove me wrong.
Chris, you get the final word on this fight. Askarov impress you?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think he's going to probably another one fight away from a title shot. Very, very close. Actually, I just woke up just as the first round started, and I was watching it, and I was like, oh, I think Askarov's actually going to get dominated here after the first round, but the comeback and winning the last two rounds was fantastic to dig deep and press on from there.
All right, let's have a quick scan of these prelims. John, what jumped out to you most on the prelims? I guess we should probably start with Roman Dulic saying that beautiful knee knockout against Khadis Ibragimov. Some knockout, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was definitely, he was looking for that head kick, and that inadvertent knee to the face worked out perfectly, man. It just flush. Actually, this could have been a bonus right here, right? Do you agree with me, Chris? Man, this was a pretty sick knockout.
Yeah, I do think so. I think if they were still doing knockout of the night bonus, it definitely would have got one. But unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So it's not quite a performance tonight, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. And it's absolutely mad over the last couple of months to see the amount of Georgians getting added to the UFC roster.
Well, Sasha, what piqued your interest from the prelims? I guess we also have to talk about Joe Duffy retiring, tapping out to Joel Alvarez in the first round by a guillotine choke. He's hung up his gloves. This guy wants to beat McGregor, right?
Yeah, he did. Early on, I think it was like his second or third. McGregor's like second or third pro fight, I believe. He got submitted by Joe Duffy, but man, I don't know. I've always like, when he first came up, I was like, man, I think he's going to be really good. Like I'm waiting for him to kind of like, explode onto the scene and do his thing, but it just never happened. And in today's fight, it just was like, he was coming out doing some Taekwondo kicks, and I feel like he never really identified himself as a fighter. He was always trying different things and never really kind of found his style. And I think that unfortunately when, he shot for that double leg on Alvarez and got guillotine, it just shows like he was just always just short of kind of just maybe, making it to the elite level. But I don't know him personally, but I always enjoyed like his martial arts, like repertoire, because he's a true martial artist. He's been doing it like his whole life, and he's like well versed in so many different martial arts. So full credit to him. I hope he has good luck in his future endeavors. And I know he just had a daughter, I believe. I think they said on the broadcast. So he's going to focus on that, and all the best.
Yeah, put up a message on Instagram. Thank you all so much for your messages of support of the week. I've been blessed on this journey in MMA. Truly grateful for every experience. I felt great all through camp, and even warming up, I believed I was back to my former self. Then I went in there and it just falls to pieces. I think it's time to realize I haven't got what it takes anymore. John, at least he's being honest with himself, right?
I feel that he had a lot of hype coming into the UFC with the whole McGregor thing, and kind of like that pressure maybe got to him, throughout his UFC career, and it just never panned out for him. And maybe injuries. I feel like he's had a bunch of injuries too that took him out for long periods. Joe Duffy, man, it sucks to say, but he's going to be most famous for the guy that beat McGregor, or, when he was in the beginning of his career. And really his UFC career is not going to be something that you're going to want to brag about. But yeah, good luck to, whatever, all the blessings to him in his retirement. But you never know, man. These fighters, they retire, but they might be back. He might be back in 3 months on Fight Island again. You know what I mean? If he does, that's great, man. Maybe he get that fire back in him. Maybe he needs to go back and just focus on training and not worry about fighting. and maybe he'll get that hunger back. So we'll see. You know what I mean? But I want to move on to Grant Dawson, man. Like Grant Dawson, this dude is a beast, man. Like you see him, he's a machine, man. Like everybody was telling me, watch for Grant Dawson, like the last couple fights. And I was like, yeah, he's all right. But this fight, man, he completely dominated his opponent. He was throwing those knees down the middle. You know, he was working the jab. You know what I mean? Like the calf kick, he was working that really well. And once it got to the ground, dude, Nad had no answers, man. He was lucky to not get submitted in a couple of spots, man. But yeah, Grant Dawson looked really well. Who stood out to you, Chris, on the prelims?
Considering I went to university in Wales in the great city of Swansea, I'm going to big up my boy, the pikey himself, Brett Johns, getting a win. Top guy, actually. And I really feel sorry for Brett Johns right now going for the bantamweight division. He's on quite a run. He's a fantastic fighter. I think he's done some stuff with Heathgate, maybe. And it's just a shame because really this is a very solid win against a very solid fighter. And in most other divisions, being a fighter of Montel's quality would probably get you a ranking. But because bantamweight right now is so stacked, I feel sorry for Brett Johns because he's probably not going to get a ranking off this. He's probably still another fight away from this. And when you actually look at his record, it's fantastic in the UFC. I think he's got, 2 losses, and one of them's to Aljamain Sterling. Mm. So, and I just want to see Brett Johns fight a bit more regularly and get a few more wins because I'm just a big fan of his fighting style.
Well, unless anyone has anything else they want to talk about the prelims, I guess that wraps it up for us. We've got another Fight Island, the final Fight Island card of this month coming up. Should be a banger, shouldn't it, guys? Robert Whittaker against Darren Till. Sasha, what else are you looking forward to on that card?
Oh, I mean, I'm looking forward to Gustafsson coming out of retirement at heavyweight. I mean, that's going to be interesting again. And then how's Fabricio Verdum going to look after he got pieced up by Alexei Oleinik? That was a nice surprise. I enjoyed that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Obviously, Rob Whittaker and Darren Till is going to be very interesting. Paul Craig, I'm half Scottish, so that I'll always keep an eye out on my Scottish fighters, and Paul Craig is an interesting one. He's got a tough Russian opponent who I've seen at Tiger, who I've seen training at Tiger. So yeah, there's quite a few fights there that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. What are you guys most looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, give us one pick each, Chris and John. We'll start with Chris.
Well, if I was going to go for anyone, I'd check out a guy from Wolverhampton, Jai Herbert. Fantastic kickboxing background, fantastic fighter. One loss on his record to Rhys McKee, who's actually in the UFC now, I still believe. Really good fighter. And actually, I think they've really thrown him into the deep end with Francisco Trinidado, who's also a great stand-up fighter, great jiu-jitsu. And I think it's going to be a really great fight.
John, what do you fancy?
I would look for Tom Aspinall. He trains out of Calbon with Darren Till. He's a heavyweight, but he's like very light on his feet, got sick knockout power in his hands, was training partners with Tyson Fury for many of his camps. So his boxing is legit. And this is his debut. You know, he was a Cage Warriors veteran. Maybe he was a champ. I'm not for sure. But yeah, he's a guy that no one's going to really know coming into this card, but once it's over, you're going to see what he can do against Jake Collier, because Jake Collier, he's coming off like a 3-year layoff and he's moving up 2 weight divisions. Like that's a recipe for disaster right there. And Tom Aspinall is a huge heavyweight. Also, another fight that people should watch out for is Cowboy Oliveira, man. Come on. Cowboy Oliveira's on the card versus Peter Sabata. And what's unique about this matchup is, you know what Cowboy Oliveira brings, but Peter Sabata said that if he loses this fight, he's going to retire. So let's see what happens with that. You know what I mean? When a guy says he's going to retire if he loses a fight, that can be very interesting. And you know, Cowboy Oliveira, he's not even thinking about retirement. That fool is going to fight until he's dead. So let's see what happens with that.
Can I add one more, guys? There will be also Rhys McKee, the guy who beat Jai Herbert. I believe he's going to fight Chimaev.
Yep, that's correct.
Dangerous fight, man. Dangerous.
What's
fight.
that? A 10-day, 11-day turnaround for your UFC debut, and it's be Rhys McKee's UFC debut. So it'll be quite interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the record, Chris, of guys that returned after they fought quickly? What's the record they have so far?
I think so far since Corona, I think it's 0-6.
Whoa.
0-6. So that's interesting to know, right? But this Chimaev guy, man, he looks like a monster.
He is. That guy's a monster for sure. What? I don't know much about Reese McKee. Do you guys have any info on him?
Cage Warriors. He's Cage Warriors champion. So a lot of the guys that come out of Cage Warriors, they're pretty legit, man. Like I just said, that Tom Aspinall guys from the Cage Warriors. You know, actually Nathaniel Wood right there on the screen. Yeah, he's a former Cage Warriors champion. He's legit too. Forgot about him, man. He's really good, and he's taking on a UFC debutant and John Castaneda. That should be a good fight for Nathaniel Wood. Yeah, man, there's so many good fights here where it's guys that if you don't really know that area of the world, like the European scene, then you're not going to really know like what these guys bring. But man, it's going to be some fun fights here.
Recently, he's considered a little bit of a up and coming talent because I think he won the Cage Warriors belt in his third or fourth fight. I might be wrong, but I think he did, which is really, really hard to do.
Striker, grappler?
Striker, so it will be interesting to see what his takedown defense is like.
Oh yeah, good luck.
All right, maybe we can have a big in-depth breakdown of everything in the middle of the week, but we should probably get out of here now. Thank you guys for. I guess it's creeping on what time? 1 a.m. for you, Sasha. So
no, 9 we good.
9, yeah, not too late. I'm thinking of the other coast. Sorry. Yeah, well, it's creeping on lunchtime here, and I've barely eaten any breakfast, so I'm going to get out of here. Thanks, John. Thanks, Sasha. Thanks, Chris, as always. And yeah, hopefully see you again on Sunday, maybe to recap the whole card from the UFC Fight Island 3. All right. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you all again next time.
Hey guys, Sasha Palatnikov here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post-Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.